Welcome back once again to the Evan Hears Culture Campaign. Today we've got an incredibly special guest on the program, just as special as everyone else who's been on it, but even more so because this is Malachi Mac Morey. He's with us today. He is one of the up-and-coming stars of radio, currently working at Bighorn Radio in Wyoming, and he is going to be the sportscaster that we're all looking for in the future, telling us our latest news about who's playing what and how they're succeeding. How are you, Matt?
Good, Evan. Thank you so much for having me. I really liked your description of sport. We should just make this specific episode you talking about what you think broadcasting sports is, because that beginning description was
well, you're talking about points and statistics and averages. So yeah, today we're going to be chatting about Metro Boomin and 21 Savage's 2016 album. They call it it's really an EP, but album Savage Mode. But before we get into that, you had a incredible brush with one of the main figures of culture. I hear he's worked with Metro Boomin before. On election day, you met then presidential candidate Kanye West. Is that what's the story there?
Yeah, man. So I'm out just like doing my thing, being a news gatherer, being a journalist, asking questions, taking pictures, and then I'm talking to these two guys who obviously I'm in Wyoming, and I'm talking to these two guys
at the polls or
at the poll places. Yeah, so I'm at the poll places, taking pictures, asking questions of people voting, post or pre-vote or whatever, and then I'm talking to these two guys who I live in Wyoming. I talk to these two guys who I don't think are really from this area. I can kind of tell right off the bat. I'm like, okay. And we're talking, and we're having like a great conversation about sports, just life, the election in general. And then they asked me if I'm part of a news affiliate here in the town. And I was like, no, but why are they going to be here? And they were like, oh, well, you should just stick around. Little did I know, like, boom, I was like, okay, that's Kanye West. He's going to be here. So 10, 15 minutes later, he pulls up with his, entourage of Escalades and big trucks, and he gets out, and yeah, I got to talk to him after he voted. I got to talk to him a little bit before he voted, but yeah, mainly after he voted, talked to him a little bit. And yeah, dude, Kanye, man, cool
was
guy.
Was he officially on the ballot there, or was he?
He wasn't on the ballot here in Wyoming. He only voted. He literally wrote in himself and his vice presidential candidate and didn't vote for any of the local stuff.
What was the conversation? What was
I asked Kanye, I was like, so how, because it was his first time ever voting in an election ever. This is for Evan, ever. And so he writes in his only stuff, so what was it like voting for your first time ever in an election? He was like, oh, it's beautiful. Made me proud to be an American. I was like, okay. And then asked him a couple other questions. And then I asked him, what is it? I said, oh, what are some of the more important issues to you right now? And he goes, food and shelter. It's like, we all need food and shelter. And, and he said, we need to eradicate homelessness in this country. And frankly, like, wasn't a bad answer. And it was funny. That was like, after a few questions, that was my last question. So I kind of turned off the mic and was like, thank you. And it's so funny because he's got his entourage right around him or whatever. And he has that pretty intellectual answer. It's got some good vocab in it. I end up in the combo.
It's probably the clearest articulation of what he actually wanted to do as president that ever happened. I was always waiting for him to drop a healthcare plan or some sort of any suggestion cabinet picks, but I think you finally weaseled it out of him what he wanted to do.
Yeah, he's got to eradicate homelessness. His friends were so impressed after I turned off the mic. They were like, wow, that's a good answer, bro. And Kanye was like, yeah.
I mean, I could talk to you about this meeting, Kanye, for hours and hours, but that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about Savage Mode. What attracted you to this album, Mac? How did you discover this artist or this album? Because I know you're a big fan. Or at least back in the day, I used to be a big fan of Screamo, some pop punk.
Oh, yeah.
And some gangsta rap. Is that still the case?
It's literally like that is still pretty much where we're at. Yep, I was in the top 1% of Blink-182 listeners. And then and then I listened to a bunch of like you said, kind of gangster rap and like an occasional like 1975 or lighter stuff. Yeah, I can enjoy everything, but that's kind of what I mainly hone in on. But yeah, dude, I mean 2016, what was I? I was like a junior in high school. And yeah, me and my friends loved this album, dude. I mean, this album goes hard. Every song is a banger.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I don't know if it's my favorite rap album that we've talked about yet, but I think it might be the first quote unquote trap album that we've explored, and my interest is peaked in with PIQUEUED. Not it's never going to get any higher, but it's starting because I don't know, something about the way that the rhyme scheme works and this sort of laid back, or at least 21 Savage's more monotone style becomes very trance-like and becomes very absorbing. I don't know what is it the quality about it that goes so hard, Mac?
Yeah, his 21. That's so funny that you mentioned his monotone. It is legitimately like they wake this man up in the studio from a hard, pass out, and they hand him a blunt, and then he just starts rapping. That is what he sounds like a lot of the time, but it works. It works, and the beats are really good. Metro does a great job on all the tracks, making the beats go well. It's catchy. I mean, yeah, dude. I gotta say, I didn't really listen to much 21 Savage before this album, and I think people don't like absolutes.
Only a Sith deals in absolutes.
I'm gonna say one. This is his best album, and I like absolutes, and it is. This is his best album, better than his most recent one, even though that one was awesome.
It's the sequel, right? Savage Mode 2.
Yeah. Yes.
Do you feel like it continues the themes of the original Savage Mode and resolves some of the
Yeah, I feel like I was left without a resolution in Savage Mode 1. I really needed another.
Yeah, Ocean Drive just sort of it's so like, oh my gosh, where's this thing gonna go now? It's no post-credit scene in there to really show what's gonna happen. But yeah, the catchiness, I get in, I start, bad guy, bad guy, which is one of my favorite tracks. I love that it's called Bad Guy because it makes me long. My mom, Tracy Phillips, just got one of those Google speakers, and she's become a big Billie Eilish fan. So I'm hoping one day she'll say, Google, play Bad Guy, and bad guy will come on. I know the algorithm will never make that happen, but I dream about that.
Oh my gosh, that would be so fantastic. And who knows? Maybe 21 Savage will be able to reel in Tracy too.
What are the tracks? Speaking of Bad Guy, what are the songs on this album?
I mean, well, if we're talking about staples of the album, I think like a staple of this album is Savage Mode. I mean, like, I don't know if it was necessarily a used phrase. I don't know. I'm not saying he coined the phrase going Savage Mode or whatever, but I think that a lot of people from this culture know Savage Mode from this album, and it's now used in pop culture references and stuff, not necessarily referencing this song, but still, like, I think he kind of invented that kind of aura of like, yeah, I'm just going to fuck it. Either no advance.
Need no advance.
I'd say no advance. I don't need no advance. I'd say no advance. I'm in Diamond District, about to buy a new watch. Yeah, no, I'd say that's my favorite song though. X is great. Bad Guy actually has been one these past few weeks because then I've been listening to the album a lot more recently too, just because I'm getting ready for this, prepping, making sure I'm
for the big leagues.
Caught up. I'm like, exactly. But honestly, what's funny is Ocean Drive to me. You mentioned it earlier, but that song is different than all of the other songs. It's got a different flow. It's got a different feel to it. And I really like it. And I honestly think, like, hindsight's 2020 now. You couldn't say this 2016, but now looking back on it, I think that song is kind of where he started to trend more towards that sound in his newer stuff, a lot of his newer stuff.
I like Bad Guy, and I also like Mad High.
Yeah.
They're very similar songs. Mad High.
Yeah, actually, Bad guy.
Mad guy, mad eye. They're very similar.
That's true. They really are. They really are. Wow, I didn't really think about that. Wow, bad guy and mad high. Yeah. So you kind of like
That's
that
the
rhythm. There you go.
outside
You found it.
perspective that I bring to these things. Because I'm able to look at it in ways that people can't fathom.
That's why I'm the guest. That's why I'm the guest and you're the host. Exactly. You're amazing at this. That's fantastic. Well, okay. We were talking about this album having like we were making jokes about Savage Mode 2, wrapping up plot points and things like that. Where obviously this is not an album that really goes in depth like this. I mean, you can tell from these titles, the songs. Yeah, exactly. So I mean, but if you look at the song titles in sequence, you can kind of see, I guess, if there was going to be a story where he'd be going with it. I mean, No Advance, he's kind of talking about himself, but he also could be talking about someone else. He goes into No Heart. Now they're an ex. He's going to go in Savage Mode. And then now he's a bad guy because he went in Savage Mode. And then Ocean Drive, he kind of ends it cool and chill. And he's driving back. He's done. He's figured it out. Whatever he's had to figure out in that album. I guess if you had to make it, I can figure out the plot.
I love it that you've turned this EP. You've found the concept album in it. You've placed the concept upon it of this very mellow, low stakes plot.
Okay, here's the thing. Do you think that he does these things that he says?
I don't know him. I've never met the man. I'm not like you, Matt.
I mean,
out with rappers, giving them interviews, meeting everybody.
Oh God. That is not a fair depiction of what happens in my day-to-day. But yeah, okay, well, I'd say let's look at this analytically. Here we go. I'm gonna count a lot of cash. I think he counts a lot of cash. Smoke a lot of gas. He probably participates in that as well. And counting lots of racks, and he walks around with straps. So I think this album tells you that 21 Savage at the end of the day tells the truth.
Is that
He's
your
a truth teller?
Final thought is that 21 Savage is a truth teller.
Yeah, he smashed the stripper in the hotel with his chains on. I can believe that. That sounds realistic.
It does sound plausible. It doesn't sound particularly.
I can't level
for anybody involved.
No, I can't level with it. I can't necessarily understand the desire, but as long as you're telling the truth, man.
It's a peek into a world.
Every song's super catchy. The beat's great. It can kind of be, there's different songs on there. Like you talk about like X or No Advance, Bad Guy, and now I guess Mad High, which are practically identical. Those are like kind of like bangers or whatever, like gonna go hard. But then if you look at like Ocean Drive, more like Savage Mode can kind of be like that, or a little more chill. So it's kind of got both of those sides to that genre.
Are there anything you'd like to plug, Mac?
Follow me on Twitter for all great takes, sports, entertainment, all the takes that you want. Mac J Morey 25. Go follow me there. And yeah, go to mybighornbasin.com to read my articles, I guess. If you ever want to read about Kanye West, we write about him. So yeah, there you go. Those are the things I plug. So
more than just on election day, you write about him.
Well, I mean, he does have his ranch here. So
ranch there, yeah.
Yeah, so it's not something that's like going to come up. It pops up from time to time. People don't like him here, but
but they love you, right? That's the point.
Exactly. No, they love me. That's the thing. Yeah, exactly.
And we at the show, which is just me, we love you as well. So thank you for coming on. I hope you had a fun time.
Yeah, dude. Thanks, man. This was great. I appreciate it. I'm honored.